What's going on YouTube? Kamikazevondoom here with another Division 2 video. So this video is going to be a build guide on how to make a crit build in the Division 2. I'm going to show you guys numerous ways. I'm going to explain different specializations, weapon mods, gear sets, brand sets, exotics, the whole nine. Now, if you guys think you're a veteran player and don't need any sort of guide on crit builds, then this might not be the video for you. However, if you have been one of the people that asked me, how do you get, this number so high? How do you get this number so high? What's the max, crit chance, this and that? Well, I'm going to explain all of that and more to you. And on top of that, I'll go ahead and walk you through how to make a crit build. So, yeah, buckle up, bring out the popcorn, and let's begin. Shout out to the DoD Disciples of Doom. Now, let's go to the quartermaster. First off, we will talk about specializations. Then we'll go to the weapons, and then we'll actually go to the gear and mods. After that, I'll have the build together, and yeah, we'll be on our merry way. So over here at the base of ops, you go to your specializations. The top two specializations that I would recommend for a crit build would be the firewall specialization and the demolitionist specialization. Starting with the demolitionist, if you max out your demolitionist and spec into submachine guns, you will unlock the small laser pointer. Now if you go to the firewall, and this one you max out the shotguns, it'll unlock the tactical short grip weapon attachment. Now for those two attachments, you go to the underbarrel of your gun and you will see right here. So you have the small laser pointer from the demolitionist. It is at 7% crit chance instead of 5. And then right here you have the tactical short grip, 10% crit damage compared to the short grip that has 5 crit damage. So you can see that running either one of these specializations will help out your build, even if it's only by a few percent. Now, right off the bat, max crit chance is 60%. If you go over that, you're just wasting time. There are plenty of ways to make sure, you stay under that, and then you spec into your crit damage. Because if you're at max crit chance, then the more crit damage you spec into, the more damage you will do over time, the faster enemies will die, so on and so forth. So you want to get pretty close to that 60% crit chance cap, and then spec everything else into crit damage. So for this build, let's see. So right now I'm using Gunner. This is a PvE build, just, a farming build, nothing special. So after that, I'll switch this all up and make you a crit build. Now, talking about weapons, the two, I guess, most popular weapons to use would probably be an SMG and probably an AR. So for this example, I'll do a Vector and the Eagle Bear. Now, not everyone can use the Eagle Bear, so Glory Days is another great example. You can use that one as well. But for this one, I'll do these two because a lot of people ask about Eagle Bear crit builds, and I'll probably just make one for you right here and now. Now, as far as the attachments go, so if you're using a SMG, you can see in the core attributes, you already get crit chance. So what I would recommend you do is for all your attachments, you go with crit damage. So you can see my flash hider crit damage, short grip, again, crit damage, and my Russian red dot sight, again, crit damage. Now the thing about this is using an SMG, you can still use the small laser pointer and the tactical short grip. So what I would do for this instance is I would run, if you want to use an SMG, I would run the firewall specialization. Go ahead and activate that. Boom. And make sure when you activate your specializations that the weapons you are using are maxed out. So I've got assault rifles and SMGs. There we go. So now I can go to my SMG, crit damage, crit damage, crit damage, and change out my small grip for the tactical short grip. So boom, now I've got more crit damage. So that's for your weapon. Now for the gear, let's see, let's start with the gear sets. So the only gear set I would recommend running crit damage or a crit build in general would be the Negotiator's Dilemma. Reason being is the gear set bonuses you get are all crit related. Even the talent you get for the 4-piece is crit related. So if you're running, if you were wanting to run this, 2 pieces give you 15% crit chance. 3 pieces give you 20% crit damage. And you get that 4-piece talent. Crit hits mark the enemy, and then, when you shoot 2 or more marked enemies, the damage you do to one, you can do to the other, vice versa. It's pretty cool. It's all around crits. Now, the disadvantage with running gear set items is the lack of attributes. So, for example, let's look at that right there, and let's compare it to, say, this Providence. Now, looking at these side by side, you can see weapon damage is the same. One has crit damage, but the other one has crit chance and crit damage. Not only that, but you still get the mod slot, so I could add more crit chance or crit damage right then and there. So, I would highly recommend you run a high-end build if you want more crit numbers. If you are looking to just run a Negotiator's build, that is a great build to run. In fact, it's pretty OP right now. But for the higher crit numbers, you want to run a high-end build. Because even, say, the Seska right here, I have weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage, and then if I didn't re-roll that core attribute, I could change that blue mod slot to a red for more crit. And then same, now for the Coyote's Mask, this is the only exotic I would recommend for crit builds, and reason being is it's all crit related as well. Now, this one, for example, comes with weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage, and then that red mod slot. So right here you can see I threw crit damage on there. I'll take that off. But going back to this mask, what makes this mask so good for crit builds is that talent Pack Instincts. So based off of your distance, you and your teammates will either get crit chance or crit damage. It's pretty nice. And the best part about this is the mask kind of works for whatever weapon you're using. So for example, that 0 to 15 meter mark, you're probably going to be using an SMG. And what Pack Instincts does is if you're hitting them at that point, you get 25% more crit damage, which for an SMG is amazing because that's what you want, because the SMGs already come with such high crit chance that the more crit damage you proc into, the higher your numbers, the more, damage you do, the faster they die. So with that, the 15 to 25 meter mark gives you crit chance and crit damage. That is more likely, your assault rifle, kind of range. And assault rifles, you don't get as much crit chance. So getting that extra 10% will maybe bump you up to max. And then you also get that little cushion of 10% crit damage, which is pretty nice. Now that 25 meter plus range, that's for your rifles and your snipers. What you could do then, knowing that your max is 60%, you could spec, into 35% and put all the rest into crit damage. That way when you run this mask and you hit them with a rifle from distance, all of a sudden you have max crit chance. And then it's just, crits for days. Know what I mean? So For gear sets, I would recommend Negotiator's Dilemma if you want to run a gear set crit build. For an exotic that you want to use in a crit build, I would recommend the Coyote's Mask. Now going to brand sets. Let's look at something that has quite a few examples. Alright, so let's go with knee pads. So for brand, let's go to backpacks. So for brand sets, you have pretty much 4 options. You have the Grupo Sombra, the Seska, Providence Defense, and Sokolov Concern. Now, all of these have their advantages and disadvantages. Now, the first two, Grupo Sombra and Seska, these two are your best additions to whatever build it is you're running. Reason being is you could run one of each, and you get that 15% crit damage and the 10% crit chance from those brand set bonuses. Now, the problem with that is you don't want to run really more than one of each, because the hazard and health from Seska doesn't really help your crit build, and explosive damage and headshot damage again doesn't really help your crit build. What we are looking for is just as much crit as possible. So when you go to these other brand sets like Providence and Sokolov Concern, you can see that Sokolov Concern, for example, starts off with SMG damage. So right off the bat, you're already getting weapon-specific damage bonus, and then it gives you crit damage and crit chance for the other 2 brand set bonuses. That's pretty much top tier for a crit build. Now, Providence Defense is another great brand set to run. The only disadvantage is that you don't get weapon-specific damage bonus. What you get instead is headshot damage of 10%. But then again, the other 2 brand set bonuses, you get 10% crit chance and 15% crit damage. So these are the 4 brand set bonuses I would recommend for a crit build. And then for gear sets, obviously Negotiator's Dilemma. And if you want to run an exotic, I would run the Coyote's Mask. So the next part is I want to make a build for you guys. Right here and now, let's just go ahead and get it out. Now, starting off with the specialization, I already told you I'm going to use the firewall for that crit damage attachment that I'm going to use on my SMG. I always switch to the concussion grenade because it does more damage. Now, for the weapons, you can use any SMG you want. Right now, I'm just using this Vector just to show you. But you see that it already has that 21% crit chance as a core attribute. So what I did with all the attachments is I went all crit damage, and then from that firewall specialization, I chose that tactical short grip for more crit damage. So right off the bat, let's just see where I'm sitting at. I'm sitting at 56 and 94, and that's on my SMG. So you already know that my SMG has higher crit chance than most weapons, so I'm lacking a little bit there. So these are my base numbers on this PvE build, so let's switch it off. Starting off with the chest piece. With running an SMG AR build, I would use my SMG as a primary and my AR as a secondary. So I'm going to go with Sokolov Concern. Now, the way I want to do it, just because we're putting a build together, let's just go with the Sokolov Concern chest piece. I'm already losing crit out of that because I have status effects, but we'll see what kind of numbers I get. Now, the mask. Let's go with the Coyote's Mask, because like I said, the 0 to 15 meter range, I get 25% more crit damage. So that's a good pickup. Now, for the rest of these pieces, I don't need the Negotiators or the Fox's Prayer knee pads. But just switching those 2 pieces over, looking at the numbers, you can see I'm already at max crit chance and 94% crit damage. So let's try to make those a little bit higher. I do not need Overlord armament, and I want more crit damage. So let's go with Grupo Sombra. So right there, I'm getting the 15% crit damage out of that brand set bonus, and I get that 9.6% from the knee pads. Okay, so now I'm sitting at 60 and 110. Now, like I said before, if you want to use a crit build, you really don't want to use those negotiator pieces because you're missing attributes and you're lacking in crit damage. So let's fix that problem. Going to the holster, like I said, you have pretty much 4 different brand sets you can choose from. What I'm going to go with is Sokolov Concern again. Reason being is you get that crit damage from that brand set bonus. Going to the gloves, let's see. Let's go with Sokolov Concern. Wouldn't be horrible. Seska. We'll try out the Seska real quick. And then for the backpack, we will go with meh. I mean, yeah, let's go with Sokolov Concern again. All right, so here, I'm putting this build together. Let me take off that mod real quick. Let's see if this one has a mod. Nope. All right, good. So with no mods on my 3 gear items, just a quick overview. We have 3 Sokolov Concern for the SMG damage, crit chance, crit damage. We have the Grupo crit damage, Seska for crit chance, and the Coyote's Mask for all that crit, but also that talent pack instincts. So, doing that right off the bat, let's look at our numbers. So now we are at 60 and 116. Okay. Not horrible, but now we have our mods. So I would go with crit damage mods. So crit damage there. Go right here, crit damage again. And right here, crit damage again. Now, all of those were 11% plus, and now I'm at 60 and 151. Not too shabby because I'm also getting 25% from my Coyote's Mask. And I'm running Dark Winter, where if I kill an enemy with a crit hit, I get another 50% crit damage on top of that. So right off the bat, if I get Perfect Killer to proc with my Coyote's Mask, I'm already hitting at 220 plus crit hit damage. That's pretty decent. Now, the ways to fix this, obviously, I'm missing a crit attribute on my chest piece. I am missing crit on my gloves, but I have headshot damage. Let's see where else I'm lacking. A few of these attributes are pretty low, and I also have explosive resistance right here on my backpack instead of crit damage. So there again, I am in more crit. But remember, all these gear pieces are based off an RNG, so you're going to have to grind and farm and keep farming to get these pieces that you want. Because right off the bat, I'm running a trauma chest piece and versatile backpack. I mean, that's not a horrible combo, but I'd probably want to switch out that trauma for, I don't know, unbreakable or glass cannon, something along those lines. All right, so here is your crit build. Just made it right here out of thin air. It's an SMG based with an AR secondary. Now for your skills, now PvP and PvE, you use different skills. Now for PvP, I would not use a reviver hive and I would go with a booster hive. Reason being is you can see right there under the stats, buff amount. Just for having tier 0 and just putting down this hive, you get 10% crit or weapon damage and weapon handling. So we want that. And then let's say, let's go with like a defender drone. All right, so now we've got a defender drone booster hive with a crit SMG build. I'm sitting at 60 and 151. And then remember that with the Coyote's Mask, I get 25% crit damage from shooting them at close range. And with Perfect Killer, if I kill an enemy with a crit hit, that I get 50% more crit hit damage for 10 seconds. So this is actually going to be a pretty hard hitting build. Let's just look at it at the range real quick, and then I'll get you guys out of here. I know this is a pretty long video, but I wanted to explain everything I can about crits and making a crit build in the Division 2. So if you guys have made it this long, thank you for sticking around. And yeah, actually I do not want to do invulnerable because I'm not going to be able to kill an enemy. So let's just do elite. That'll be nice and easy. Let's do 10 meters because I'm using SMG. Alright, so 10 meters, just sitting here with no procs or anything. I'm hitting, you could see that's a 233 crit to the chest. Okay, so then let's just say I put down my booster hive. I get that 10% crit, or 10% weapon damage. And all of a sudden I'm at 243. 287. See, that's with my killer active and also my Coyote's mask. Now if I switch to my AR, wait for the versatile to clear up so I can switch back to my SMG. Alright, versatile is good. Let's wait for that booster. So 2. Alright, boom, versatile. Now I'm at 328 crits. 388 crits. That's pretty crazy. That's with an SMG shooting into the chest. 388,000 crit hits. Now remember, that was with the versatile and the booster active. So your talents will help you in the long run with your crit build. So just make sure you play it out the right way. But this is how you make a crit build in the Division 2. I hope I explained it as well as I can. We went through the specializations, the weapon attachments, gear items, whether it be gear sets, brand sets, or exotics. And then I made a crit build for you right then and there. Not too bad. I would probably change the chest piece talent a bit, but for this video, I mean, it's pretty nice. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. I am Kamikazevondoom. Don't forget, hit that like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.